My name is Bani. I'm an RCIC in Canada, and I'm the immigration expert here at AskAïa. Today, we're answering questions about spousal or common law sponsorship that we've received. Before we jump into the questions, the only thing that I want to explain is what actually is a spousal sponsorship. So, if someone is in a relationship with a Canadian permanent resident or citizen, um, whether you're married or in common law or have conjugal relationship, then you're eligible to come to Canada as a permanent resident, and your Canadian counterparts are eligible to sponsor you. And let's dive into the questions now.
The first question is from Alex. He said, I am a master student in Canada and have been dating my girlfriend for 3 years, but she is abroad. Can I sponsor her on a student visa?
It depends. So if you were, when even you were living abroad, if you were living together for 12 months, if there is a history of common law, then yes, you can sponsor her on an open work permit while you're a student in Canada as a master's student. But if she was always a girlfriend and you have no history of living together or less than 1 year, then no, not at this time.
The next question is from Sophie. She said, I am engaged and living in Canada, but my fiance is still abroad. How do I sponsor my fiance if we are not married yet?
If you have been living together for 1 year previously, then you can sponsor your fiance under the common law sponsorship. But if you haven't lived together yet, then there is no program to sponsor fiancés. Then I would suggest, if marriage is already on card, you can sponsor them after marriage.
The next question is from Daniel. He said, I am a Canadian citizen with a partner who faced visa refusal before. Do past refusal affect our sponsorship application?
No, particularly if the previous refusals were for different other types of applications. If she wanted to visit Canada or if she applied for a student or work visa, it doesn't affect. But if you have been together, refused a sponsorship already, and this is just a reapplication, then it might be, unless that reason of refusal is now now not valid anymore. But if these were other applications, then no, it will definitely not affect sponsorship.
Excellent. My next question is from Olivia. She said, I am a permanent resident in Canada with an LGBTQ plus partner abroad. Are there any extra hurdles for our sponsorship application?
Not at all. It is exactly the same as any other spousal or common law sponsorship application, and Canada is LGBTQ friendly, so you do not expect any additional hurdles.
My next question is from Ethan. He said, I am a Canadian citizen and my partner abroad is worried about the cost of immigration. What fees are involved in spousal sponsorship?
If you plan on doing your application yourself, then it's just the IRCC fees, which is at the moment $1,205 to be precise. And there may be some additional costs of doing a medical test or giving biometrics, but these are small. Overall, that's the only cost we're looking at.
My next question is from Ava. She said, I am a Canadian citizen in a 9-month relationship with my partner abroad. Is there a minimum relationship duration needed for a sponsorship?
Yes. For common law partnership, it is 12 months. So if you've been living together for 12 months, that's what is considered as common law. But if you're married, there is no minimum requirement. You can sponsor the next day after marriage.
The next question is from Isabella. She said, I am a Canadian citizen sharing joint finance with my partner abroad. Can that strange our application?
Yes, positively. It will affect your application positively. You have shared finances that proves genuineness of your relationship. So absolutely.
The question is from Liam. He said, I am studying in Canada and my partner abroad is employed. He can come work remotely. So how do we manage the financial obligation for a sponsorship?
Your partner abroad who is going to come on an open work permit, if they're employed, they have they can show their bank statements if they have savings. So that's what they are going to use when they're here. If you have a part time job while studying in Canada, you can add your employment documents to show that you have the funds to sustain for 6 months. That's basically what's needed. And then they expect whoever is coming in that they will find a job within the first 6 months. So it's the 6 months that you have to cover. You can cover it with their funds abroad. Or if you have a stable part-time income in Canada, or you can combine both.
A question from me. What's the usual timeline for spousal sponsorship processing?
IRCC actually keeps updating their average processing times online. At the moment, if you're doing a sponsorship application from anywhere in Canada outside of Quebec, it is at a 28-month um, period mark. And for anyone who's in Quebec, it's at 34 months. But keep in mind, an average time your process can take lesser or more time than that. It's just a guideline. Yeah.
Who is eligible for spousal sponsorship in Canada?
Canadian permanent residents and citizens can sponsor their spouses or common law partners. The only difference between the rights of a Canadian permanent resident and citizen is that permanent resident actually has to be residing in Canada while they do the sponsorship application, but a citizen can do it even if they're residing with their spouse abroad. However, even citizens have to show the intention that once they do sponsor their spouse to Canada, that they will actually work with them.
How much income do I need to sponsor my common law partner in Canada?
All you need to sponsor a spouse or common law partner is to show that you are employed in Canada. There is no bar on what you should be making. And if you're not employed in Canada or you haven't been paying taxes, then even then you can, in those circumstances, have exceptions to prove other ways of how you can financially support them when they come to Canada. But there is no minimum that you should be making.
Can my spouse stay in Canada while waiting for a sponsorship?
Yes, absolutely. But if that is in the case, you filed for spouse or common law partner in Canada class. That means your spouse or common law partner was already here when you did your sponsorship application. In that case, they can continue staying in Canada because they can also apply for an open work permit. And however long the sponsorship takes, your open work permit should come in and you can stay together. They can continue working. It shouldn't be a problem.
How to prove that I have a genuine relationship to sponsor my partner?
The list of documents to prove a genuine relationship is non-exhaustive, but a few things that top my mind are a rental deed of where you live together, government IDs that prove that you live on the same address, marriage certificate if you're married, a common law contract if that's something you have, insurance documents that name each others as beneficiaries, pictures of your travel and living together, family, pictures with meeting each other's family, friends, socially known as each other's partners. All of those help.
Can I leave Canada while waiting for spousal and sponsorship?
Yes, especially if you filed under the family class outside Canada, you can leave and come back once your application has been approved. Even if you filed for an in Canada sponsorship application, there is nothing stopping you from leaving for a short trip and come back. But in that case, they expect you to be in Canada when it's approved.
How long am I responsible for the spouse I sponsor in Canada?
So, 3 years from the time they get their permanent residency, you are responsible. You sign an undertaking where you you are responsible for them. And if you are the person who has been sponsored, then you can't sponsor another spouse before 5 years of you becoming the permanent residents.